Backstage with Mothership on Solid Rock Radio begins now. Hear the best in new music, artist interviews, stories from the road, and more. You are now backstage, and here's your host, Mothership.
Hey everybody, I spoke with my good friend Zahna about her upcoming album, Stronger Than Death, and her major video release, Die for Something, featuring Nesdom. Just a footnote, when this airs, I will be in Germany attending the Loud and Proud Festival retreat. I covet your prayers for traveling mercies, and I will see you again next week. Until then, enjoy.
We've done an interview before. Mm-hmm. We've kind of told your backstory, but maybe we need to back up just a little bit with how is your health?
Overall, I think it is good. I think that, my health is actually in overall pretty good shape. Recently, my blood labs that I have to do every 2 or 3 months have kind of been increasing in a bad way, certain levels, but it's not that surprising because I've had the kidney for now coming on 4 years. So it's going to die eventually. So I'm not surprised that it's happening. Hopefully it still kicks in for 25 years. 25 to 30 is what they quoted me for the kidney, but there are miracle people that it just has lasted way longer than that. I've been finding inconsistent data on that when I look up how long does a living donor kidney last inside a body, the doctors told me 25 to 30 years. However, again, I'm finding people that say it's longer and people that say that's less than that. A deceased donor would be about 15 to 20 years. It's significantly lower. But we had a living donor, my mom. So all in all, I think it's as expected. I'm just very happy, though, because I'm definitely not as bad as before my transplant. So every day I thank God for that.
Man, I can't believe it's been 4 years.
Yeah, I think it's 3.5. It was June 2019. So we're in 2023. Gosh. Yeah, something like that. We're going on 3 to 4.
How long have we known each other? All of a sudden.
Oh, Sydney, I thought you could answer that.
Okay, wait. I met you the first time when you came to Tennessee to the City Rock Fest tour.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. It was in Spring Hill, right? That big.
Yeah. Was that 2018?
I think it was 17.
17?
I don't know. 17. No, it wasn't 18, I don't think. Me and Patrick got married October of 2018, so I think it was a whole year.
No way. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
That is a lie.
Yeah, Pat and I, October 13th, 2018, so we're going on 4 years here, married. Yeah, it's exciting.
It's crazy.
It's been a while. Yeah.
Okay. Well, so it had to have been 2017 because you were not married. You were dating.
Yeah. I have a feeling it was 2017 because Pat was on tour a lot 2017. Our whole dating relationship, he was basically gone. So we still made it.
And for those of you that are listening in on this private conversation,
I know, right?
Patrick Madsen, formerly of Random Hero, is her husband and is now known as Nesdom.
Yes, which is the feature on Die for Something, my new single.
All right, we're going to talk a lot about that. I don't know where to begin. You started releasing singles almost a year and a half ago?
Yeah, my first original single after my full-length album Red for War was Better Run, and that one I released August of 2021. So a lot of songs off the record I have released, and there's a few left that I have. I think there's 5 new songs on the album that have not been heard. It's an 11-track album. So, yeah, it's just I've been kind of planning this. It's been a weird transition for me because to kind of become independent and make that feasible takes a lot of groundwork. And so it's I had this album probably ready back way earlier. It's just that in order to do it the way I wanted to, I needed to kind of solidify streams of income in order for myself to pay for it the way I wanted to do it because, me being in music's expensive and a lot of money to do it. There was a moment where I was considering shopping it out to a brand new label. Rockfest and I parted ways, I think, March of 2020. And I was excited, though, because being independent, you kind of get a lot more control over things. You get control over how you release them, the momentum that you want to go. I've been in a band before. It's a lot of politics and bureaucracy and getting people to side with you. And a label is kind of that way too. It's you have to work together. It's a lot of meetings and talking. And it's for me, I'm just okay, I have a million ideas. I need to start, and now I don't have to ask permission. I just kind of do it. So I really love that freedom. But yeah, it took a while to get to this point where it's self-sustaining independently now. And so I'm very blessed to be able to do that. And I'm not going to lie, it was very hard to get to this point, but I do feel like I will reap a lot of rewards for that work. So, basically that money comes straight back to me. There's no middleman. I'm able to take that money and invest it the way exactly how I want to. So yeah, I love being independent. It's not that I'm completely against being on a label. It's just that labels are so different now. To get on one that's really worth their salt, you really have to have a certain amount of numbers to show of sales and stuff. And when they see that, that's when they'll kick in. But it's almost like by the time that comes, do you even need them at that point? So.
Yeah, it's a whole new world. I mean, the whole music industry is so different.
Totally. And even worse after the pandemic. I mean, we're talking about this the other day and we're like, you know what, back in like 2014, I mean, that was even
the good old days.
That was good old days. And we thought it was bad then. And I'm like, oh, no, it's bad now for sure.
And I don't mean this in a negative way. You are a very independent person. So I'm not surprised you feel more yourself when you're independent.
Being a go-getter and just doing it, time is my most valuable resource. If I'm wasting time, there's nothing that makes me more angry than that, because I have such limited amount of time and so much to do. So, I just worked with Adrian Biacco and Jake Jones on my new music video. I think they really like working with me because I do so much of the legwork that they don't have to do. And, so like I plan every detail out. I order costumes. I get the location, I research, I write the music video scripts. Basically they're there to set the lighting, go by their shot list, get everything and edit it, and they're amazing at that. But the inspiration really comes from someone like me who really knows what they want. I recorded with Kellen McGregor of Memphis Mayfire, my new record, and it was just a dream to work with him. I've worked with Josiah Prince, and I learned so much. So overall, I believe these people have good experiences with me. They tell me this. So I'm just going to trust it. But yeah.
I'll ask them later.
Ask them. But no, it's just, it's being in music. Like you said, it's a whole different ballgame. There's so much work involved. And I think for me, I mean, I'm basically doing the work of 4 or 5 people. I know what I need to do. Just do it. Just get it done. So I don't know if that's my programming coming from like a Hispanic family who works constantly. I don't know if it's a cultural thing. I don't know what it is, but that's who I am. That's where I'm at.
You'll claim it.
Yeah.
I want to talk about your release coming up on February 10th.
Yes.
But first, let's talk about Die for Something.
That's basically your testimony if people don't know.
Yeah. I think that people kind of forgot I almost died a couple times. So yeah, this whole album is basically about events that happened between 2018 and 2020. I'd go ahead and say that. Yeah, because, working with Kellen on this project, he was wanting to kind of keep it more mainstream rock radio. And I love that. I love this new record, but I do miss my metal roots a lot. So we're going back to that here shortly if people stay with me. But Die for Something, yeah, it is a fantasy, but it's not, because I didn't die and I didn't have a near-death experience. But I did decide to revolve the storyline of the music video for Die for Something around a near-death experience because, for those who don't know, I was diagnosed with kidney failure when I was 24. It's a genetic disease that I had that literally nothing I did, it just happened. Genetically, I just have a mutation that I don't produce a certain protein that my kidneys need to break down toxins. So over time, my kidneys are just being bombarded with this toxin and getting damaged and, scarred. So eventually they're just going to die and stop working. So at that time, when I was getting my diagnosis, it took them a while. It took them 6 months to figure out what was wrong with me. When they did, they basically told me a transplant was inevitable. If I didn't go with a transplant, your choices are die a horrible death or go on dialysis and never tour again. So, dialysis is basically you're hooked up to a machine that cleans your blood for you, takes several hours, and you need to go at least 3 times a week. So you can say goodbye to traveling, you have to stay in your city because you have to do dialysis. So for me, I was presented with this option that's okay, everything you've just worked for in music, all the stuff that you do, everything that you had to go through is now threatened because you might die. This is the perfect storm because, as I mentioned before to you, Cindy, that, I had this huge phobia of doctors, hospitals, and needles and shots. And when I was a kid, it was rooted in my childhood. My mom had to basically get ready to catch me if I got a shot at the doctors because I would just get so scared I'd pass out. I couldn't handle my reality. So there was a lot of just emotional turmoil leading up to my transplant when I was sick enough to finally go through with it. I don't want to say I lost my faith, but I did kind of reevaluate everything in my life, including my beliefs in Christianity. And it's so silly because I literally know God exists. Like, he has shown himself to me. But in my brain, I'm freaking out. So I'm seeking answers and I'm reevaluating. I'm like, well, what if I'm crazy? What if that wasn't God? What if I didn't hear him? Blah, blah, blah. You know, that's a question I still ask myself every day. What if I don't hear him? What if I'm wrong? But in that moment, I went through this like 2-week period of just like questioning God and like my whole belief system. So I don't know if I was agnostic maybe for like 2 weeks when I got this news. That's so weird to say. I'm like, it's really weird. I had this crazy fear that like, I'm like, what if I just die on the operating table? Like, what if something goes immensely wrong and like they can't fix it and I never wake up? Like, that is a horrifying thought, that you're about to get rolled in and then you'll never wake up. So that thought really haunted me. Again, that's why I'm going through this faith crisis or whatever, because I don't want to wake up to nothing. I don't want to die and there be nothing. That would be the worst fate ever.
Backstage with Mothership returns after this. Outperformance Service Family is a Solid Rock Radio business ministry partner who offers turnkey e-commerce website design, marketing, and converged technology consulting. Online at outperformancemarketing.com. Essentially,
I started looking on YouTube and I started like searching people who had died, who said they died and what they saw after they died and then were medically resuscitated. And literally it was like incredible. Like, I watched so many interviews of people telling their story and there were so many consistencies between all of them. And it actually, got me out of my funk of my faith crisis. And so I never forgot that. And even after my transplant, it's something I kept researching and just listening to stories. I have watched like a lot of hours of these interviews because there's like literally YouTube channels dedicated to this. And some of them are pretty mind-blowing, but all in all, I concluded that yes, there is a God in Jesus. Okay, there definitely is. That's what all these people are saying. Okay, so if you're ever bored, maybe check it out. There's some crazy stuff you're gonna hear. I don't know. It was enough to move me back into my faith, though. So when I was doing this video, I was like, I kind of have to put that in because I had so many realizations during my recovery. I had a very bad recovery. I was considered a complex patient. I was admitted to the hospital many times during my recovery. I was constantly sick. I almost died a couple times. It was really bad. So I was in shambles because I just released a new album and I can't even tour off of it. And now I'm on a label and I feel pressure that I have to sell records, it was just so overwhelming. And then being a newlywed too, when all this is happening, it's literally like the perfect storm of problems. But a
lot of adjusting.
Oh, I don't even want to say adjusting. It was just crisis. The whole, and then it's as soon as I'm feeling better. So my transplant was June 12th of 2019. It took 6 months of heavy recovery of a lot of hospital admittances and garbage. I finally start feeling pretty decent in January of 2020, and I'm feeling good, and I'm getting ready for another tour, and I buy a tour van, and I buy a tour trailer. I dropped $20,000 on this stuff, and I'm going out on my tour, and it's March of 2020, and all of a sudden we're getting called back home because there's a virus that is going around, and I'm just like, I'm on tour, and I'm going to catch this virus. I'm going to die because I have no immune system.
If anybody's going to get it and die, it's going to be you.
It was the psychological trauma all came back all over again. It was like, okay, this is hopeless. Literally everything I'm trying to do is not working because my body is broken and now the world is crazy. Everyone's dying. What is it? Is it the apocalypse? So that's part of a huge reason, why this album took so long, because it's you don't want to release an album when there's no touring. No one's thinking about music right now. They're thinking about not going under financially or not dying from a virus, So 2020, 2021, 2019, they were all very difficult years. This year was extremely difficult too, just putting the groundwork into being independent. But Die for Something, when I wrote that song, was very much a turning point for my attitude about all this stuff. And I was like, you know what? I already faced death. I just faced death in 2019, 2018. I've had time to think about death a lot. If it happens in 2020, I think I'll be okay. It's gonna be sad. Yes, everyone's gonna be sad. But you know what? I've already done this. And I don't know if it was just some type of preparation for me. So it was just a lot of chaos and turmoil. But Die for Something the song is very much about like, hey, we're all going to die. Why are you afraid of it? If your time comes before others, then this is the time you have to work and leave your mark and leave your legacy and tell your testimony to many people that will listen. So I think that's the weight with this album that I have, this burden that I have to get this out. And by no means is it been easy. Like, I'm sacrificing a lot to do this. But I feel like this story has to be told, no matter the cost. I renewed my faith. I survived. Like, I'm here to tell my story, and it's in these songs. So yeah, Die for Something, like I said, it's the turning point of the album. It's actually track, I believe, 8 or 9. I don't remember. And it's placed there strategically because the album is kind of a story, and the orders of the songs are on purpose because it's kind of telling the whole story of how I ended up here musically. So yeah, that's Die for Something.
Tell me a little bit about how Nesdom got on this song.
When we were writing that song, that chorus started out being Josiah's chorus, kind of wanted this in his song bank. You know, he's always writing. And he presented it to me. I was like, I was going to give this to Disciple, but I think it'd work better for you because you actually have experience about dying. And immediately I was like, yes, I love this chorus. So I went ahead and started writing all of the verses, the bridge, everything else you hear basically beside the chorus. And it's very like precise. Things that I'm saying are very intentional. But we did want to do a feature originally with this song, and I had a few big names in my head, in my mind, to maybe bring on. But when Patrick, left Random Hero, there was kind of this hole in his heart, and, he'd always wanted to be a singer or front man. So he started tracking Nesdom songs, in behind the scenes while I was doing this as well. And I'm like, well, since we're married, we're on the same team here, kind of like we're a mini record label with only 2 artists, and we're in business together. So I really wanted to showcase Patrick's vocals and how good he is. I only benefit, even if he outshines me, even if he goes farther in a career eventually, like whatever happens, I'm going to benefit from it. So it was a no-brainer. It's like, first of all, your vocals are incredible. Second of all, we're going to put you out as an artist. This is up to get you in front of more people. And third, like, it's going to be beneficial financially for both of us,
Let's talk about the video. Is that a concept you came up with?
I did. So I have a lot of music videos, storylines that I make. I'll just listen to the song over and over and over and over, and I kind of like think about a movie in my head or different ways that this story could go. The Die for Something music video, we had to kind of scrap the first draft of it. There was another artist, which I'm just going to go ahead and say his name because he's my friend. Matt Sassano had a new music video called Dear God, and it was a little too close to my idea. I love that guy, by the way. Matt has a great voice. He's a super cool guy. But I was like, okay, the first draft we wrote was kind of like, is it Christmas Carol where the ghost of the guy has passed and, he goes and visits as a ghost?
Yeah, that's Christmas Carol.
Christmas Carol, right?
Christmas Carol.
Yeah, it was kind of more like that, like where I witnessed my death and then I kind of see the impact that it had on people, and it was like, it was too close to that. And Jake brought that up. He's like, I like this story, but I feel like it's been done already. And I was like, you know what? You're right. There's enough reason because another artist has the opening scene that's a little bit too much how I envisioned mine. And then also we don't want to copy a story that's already been done. And so I was picking up a paper shredder that I was buying on Facebook Marketplace. And in that drive, I was just reworking the script for it to be more interesting and not something that's been done already. And maybe it has been done already. I haven't seen any videos like this where they like literally play out a near-death experience. But I was happy to do it because of the sentimental value that I had with the near-death experience interviews that I've seen. And Jake was really on board. Adrian was super on board because Jake had actually lost his mom semi-recently. And he was, they're asking me like what my attachment was to this story. So I'm over here telling them everything I just told you. And I'm like trying not to cry because it's so close to home and I still feel everything so fresh in my brain, all the trauma and everything. And they're just like, dude, we have to do this video because, Adrian, she's seen near-death experience. She really enjoys watching interviews of near-death experiences. Jake has his own personal story. So it was like the perfect team that was invested personally and emotionally in this song and video. And that to me is worth more than anything, because, you know, when you have people that aren't really on board, they don't really believe in the video, you never want to work with people like that. You need people that believe in the vision, because they're going to put their best work. And so Jake and Adrian, like, God bless them, okay? Because they cut me such a wicked deal for this video, and they agreed to drive 12 hours from Nashville to Texas to film it with me, okay? And the work they did, the amount of time they dedicated to this was, I'm just so flattered. Like, I'm so honored that they would go the extra mile for this.
The extra mile, literally.
The extra several miles. Yeah. And I was super happy with the final product. It is really emotional. My dad cried when he watched it. You know, it's just a lot for my family because, you know, they were there witnessing the whole transplant. It was just a lot for them to watch, you know. I'm trying not to cry.
It's going to speak to people.
Yeah. And that's my goal. You know, I just want to tell the story. I just want people to know and understand, like, what it took, the experiences that it took to do this record. You know, we gave everything for this. And even if it doesn't, you know, do well financially or whatever, according to music industry standards, it's still something I'm going to have to show my kids and be like, hey, I survived. Okay, you're here because I survived that.
Backstage with Mothership returns after this. Check us out on Facebook at I'm with Mothership.
Overall, one of the best music videos I've shot. It was one of the easiest music videos I've shot. I'm used to doing 14 to 15 hour days where you're cramming shots and it takes that long. Literally, setup takes sometimes 4 hours. Yeah. Jake and Adrian, super efficient. We ran into hardly any roadblocks. And I was like, this is too easy. I'm scared. Like, what if we're missing something? Yeah, because I'm not used to it. You know, I'm used to everything going wrong and you're scrambling to fix it. And, you know, for example, that field that is in the music video, all right, that guy, I did a cold call to him. I did a cold text. And I was like, hey, you don't know me, but I drive by your field all the time. And I'm an artist. Can I come shoot a video on your field? Immediately he said yes. Okay. The door, I was really stressed out about the door prop because doors were expensive and I was already like hitting my budget limit. And my father-in-law owns a construction company and he just happened to have an extra door and he set it up for me. He had his workers build it up for me. It worked. It opened. Everything was great. So boom, that was resolved. I found the perfect studio location at a very reasonable price that we shot everything else in, beside the bedroom scene. The bedroom scene in the beginning of the video is in my house. It was just everything came together so insane. And even the dates worked out for Jake and Adrian, even though they were slammed with things to do. Everything worked out. And I was almost nervous. I was like, what if I'm missing something? You know, you question yourself when things are too easy because it's never been easy. So I have a really good fond memories of that week that we shot, and I'm very proud of that video. It's probably the most ambitious video I've ever attempted. I mean, Better Run had a storyline, and that one was tough. That was a lot to coordinate, but Die for Something is a little more ambitious because it had so many locations. And so that's hard to set up, tear down, go to each location. It's very time consuming, but it worked out.
I really enjoyed it. I mean, I felt the emotion of it.
Yeah, thank you.
And of course, it helped knowing your story. And that's
for sure.
why I know exactly why all this is happening.
It was a lot of test for my acting skills. The beginning for the crying scene, man, that was really hard to film because I basically had to go back to that place of turmoil. Mm-hmm. And I think there was, during my recovery, a time where I was admitted to the hospital and they were worried that I was going into rejection. And at that point, I was like, no, I can't do this again. The courage it took me. Again, you're talking to somebody who has absolute terrifying fear of hospitals and needles. Like, they will pass out. I can't even look on a TV screen when someone's like shooting up drugs in the movie. Like, I can't look. That's how uncomfortable it makes me. And so I had to get over that really quick to do this transplant. So it was a lot of toil on my marriage in the beginning. I felt like I was going crazy. And to get to that spot where you go through all this preparation for a transplant and then it fails, you're like, I'm out. I'm done. I can't do this again. You're not going to put me through this trauma all over again. I'm not even healed and it's rejecting. Like, what hope do I have? You know? And so I will admit, I did consider that if it rejected, I was just going to end my life. Like, you know, I'm not even feeling bad about it. I'm just like, I just can't do this again. And that was hard, to be honest with myself about that. in the video, to get that shot, I had to remember that. I had to remember, and I basically got the emotion out by pretending to write a letter to my parents, thanking them for everything that they did. But this just didn't work out, and I'm so sorry, but like, I can't do this again. It was like lightning in a bottle. It was just like tears, remembering that moment in my life. And it worked, though. It was worth it for the video and the shot.
And how far you've come. There is hope, people.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's just a reality that you have to live with. I think my next EP is really going to be about the darkness, even just the last 2 years, going back and forth, because, what they don't really tell you about a transplant is how much money it costs, how difficult it is to get insurance afterwards with a pre-existing condition. Like, nobody wants to touch you, okay? Mm-hmm. All they see you, I saw the medical statements. My transplant cost $500,000 just for the transplant itself. And, that's with good insurance that I had, luckily, through my dad's work. But like, the medications cost a lot of money. The blood work you have to do. I went from having to do blood work once a week to it spreading out to once a month. Now I'm at once every 2 to 3 months, but it was like constant after my transplant. It was poked and prodded constantly. And for someone who has a trauma and a phobia like me, it was just my own personal hell. It was like crafted to be my own personal hell. It felt like that. And I'm like, who hates me this much?
You're like you're on a Twilight Zone episode or something.
Yes! Like, why is this happening to me? But what was really interesting was that I came off a high of a very good moment in my life. Like, 2018 was one of the best years of my life. Like, I debuted overseas at Loud and Proud. I had this new record coming out. I was on a record label. I got married. 2018 was one of the best years of my life. And I think God allowed that for me to have those highs, those super highs, because he knew what was coming and I needed to be encouraged some way, because the turmoil I was about to go through was going to make me want to quit life. So I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful that he gave me that amazing year, because it's been 4 years of struggle after that. But I think I see the light at the end. And I just pray that it all goes into the power of the testimony of the album and the videos. I really do hope it translates.
Well, I do too, and I'm hoping for a very successful release on March 10th.
Yeah, it's so weird, Cindy. Like, I've been obsessing for this album to come out for like 3 years, and it's finally happening. It's so weird. I don't even really believe it. So I'm glad it's going to be over soon.
And by being over, meaning it's going to start.
Yes! And that's the weird thing, right? I don't know. I mean, I'm ready to write and move on and kind of explore even darker areas, I mean, I've got this new metal track that's called Pile of Pills. And it's just literally about how I was chugging pills for like a year just to stay alive, like just to, working. Literally, the line is going to work my body and hands to the bone just to stay alive, maintain my life, just to survive. Because these medications cost so much money. This insurance costs so much money, and you're sick and you feel terrible, but you can't miss work because you need the money to survive. But you're just surviving to work to survive. This endless cycle of like insanity. So I really want to explore that in my music coming up. I really want to identify with people that feel stuck in cycles that can't seem to escape no matter what they do. So yeah, a lot of writing material there for sure, waiting to be born.
Oh yeah. You have pre-orders?
Yes, we do. We have pre-orders. We have 2 packages if you guys are interested. We have the platinum package, which is basically 2 to 3 shirts or 2 shirts and a beanie. It comes with a poster, some small goodies, and the physical album. Then we have the gold package, which is a step lower. It's just 1 shirt, the album, and a small merch item like dog tags or keychains. And then we have just physicals there themselves. But there's a whole bunch of new t-shirt designs that are exclusive to the pre-order packages. They will be on sale by themselves shortly. But I'm trying to work it out where hopefully I don't have to just like put them out by themselves, because I need people to order this album. But after the album comes out, all those t-shirts will definitely be able to be ordered individually for people who just like to stream music. They don't really buy CDs. So yeah, lots of merch there. You can check it out on zahnaofficial.com/merch, or zahnaofficial.com. On the homepage is a button that'll lead you to the store. Same thing. But yeah, plenty of pre-orders. We've done really well on pre-orders. I have an awesome marketing and PR team. I'm really liking what they're doing with it. And yeah, it just boils down to that, the day.
So cool. Do you have any new things going on in the way of the vocal coach thing? Is that going well for you?
Oh God, Sydney, I'm more booked than I've ever been. It's like I've surpassed my initial goal. I'm exhausted all the time because I have so many students. It's a great thing. It's a great blessing because I need the money to do this record. I need to do it right. So I'm very fortunate. I think I'm pretty much full-time music at this point because it's paying the bills. And I've loved to teach other people and mentor people because I know how deeply I desired that as a new musician to this realm. And so much I was looking for someone just to believe in me. So I told God, I was like, hey, no matter what level you take me, I'm going to do my best to take all my friends with me. Because I need to help them because that's what I needed. I needed somebody to help me when I was a younger artist. So, yeah, it's been great.
It's awesome. It was great to talk to you again and hope to see you out on the road soon.
I would love that. Nothing more. I can't wait.
All right. Good night.
Good night.
Thank you for listening. Check out my blog page on the Solid Rock Radio website for my guests' social media links. If you've missed any of my past interviews, you can find them uploaded to podcast.solidrockradio.org. Have a wonderful week, and let's be kind to one another.